most artists have a friend that's entered into politics, and you are also seeing that person receiving the insults. And you don't just want your voice to be part of the insult. I don't repent of my throwing myself in the ring. I don't repent of getting it wrong. I don't repent on changing my mind later. I think early on in my career, I thought about marriage the wrong way. When I look at our leaders, I feel they work 10 times as hard. And let me explain.
The term legend loosely a whole lot. And
This is too heavy for me. This intro is too heavy. It's too heavy for me.
and then, so on the one hand, I feel that it is used too loosely. On the other hand, there are not very many young people, maybe mid to late 30s or 40s, who can really qualify as being legendary even in their craft. So I don't use it lightly, but I must, and I would not hesitate to say that when it comes to rap on the African continent, M.I, you are a legend.
Wow.
It's fun.
We need to cut that part of the clip. I'm going to use that part of the clip. Did you guys hear that? Wow,
Yeah.
what an honor. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I really receive and appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Most certainly. I've said this. You know, never been a big fan of rap, but I know what great rap sounds like. And I say the only time you rapped, that I heard you on a song, and I was like, it was a big hit, massive hit, the one you did with Flavor. African rapper #1. And that was the first time I was like, this is, and my conclusion was that it was just commercial music, because when you rap, you really go deep. For me, that was maybe, you might see it differently. That was the easiest rap. You were just playing around.
Do you know that's one of the toughest songs I've ever done in my life?
Yeah, okay.
That
Real
rap took me like 3 months to write.
Why?
So that's a good question. Look at how you started. This is what you see. This is what happens when legends, when legends are also doing platforms. Look how you just started. No, but that's a great question, because the thing about African rapper #1 is the time signature. You know, High Life has that 3 or 4. So when I was trying to figure how do I sit on this beat, it was very difficult. I knew the chorus was going to work. I knew the beat was going to work. And if you listen to it, it goes, yes, sir. And you hear singing, hey, I'm on top of the, hey. That's what makes the song work, you know? But it took me a long time, because even the lines, like, you're right, it's more simple and more playful, you know, and I use a lot of like flyer than IRS. At the time, I had the airline IRS, Cheque na pep, you know, all those kind of
And
things.
you always land with the vowel.
Yeah, with the side, yeah. But
except when you go to We Are the Champions.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. But it just took me a long time to craft it and listen to it and be like, okay, this doesn't lose the high lifeness, but at the same time, I'm inside the pockets. You know, the rappers, we call about being in the pockets. So, but yeah, it's great. It's interesting that you chose that song, because even though maybe it comes across to people like this was really easy, that was one of the most difficult raps I've ever written.
I'm not surprised, because you can even tell that, again, for me, it was like, this is not you in your comfort zone. This is not, so on the surface, it seems easy, but for somebody whose whole career is built on serious bars.
You're talking about, okay, I thought you were talking about yourself.
No, I'm talking about you. Yeah. Like you sit on powerful bars, and I know that you are a reader. You read. You're a reader. You're a writer, and it tells in everything. So you're really, really deep, very deep. So when you talk about Vespa and all of that, I was like, Baba, M.I let's just find something that rhymes. So I can tell because this was high life. This was you trying to rap on high life.
Yeah.
That must have been work, man.
And also, so that album is called MI2, right? Mm-hmm. The idea of MI2 is an album that is like a Tom Cruise. You know, Tom Cruise has those Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 2.
Definitely.
So the album starts with action film, high-paced. Think about it like a Jerry Bruckheimer movie. Mm-hmm. You know, you have a big intro. So that album starts with somebody gets kidnapped. Waje gets kidnapped at the beginning. Then it opens up with action film. You hear sirens. So let's imagine now, let's say Bad Boys, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. They always have an action scene at the beginning where they're fighting. And immediately after that, a lot of times they will go to the station and people will applaud for them or you win an award. You know, it always starts with a high.
Yeah.
You know, so African Rapper #1 is that moment in the story.
Certainly.
You know, and I was just trying to capture that part of the story. You know, writing about myself. This is my second album, so a big statement like African Rapper #1. Still trying to sound confident. It was very, very complex. But actually, we sold the album when Abu Ventures heard the chorus and the beats. I've not yet rapped. He said, "We're doing this." So you're right in saying that I did the least work on that song.
You know, So that song, I don't dance to that song tire because it's quite danceable. Yeah. It's just that I just felt that.
Yeah.
Lyrically, M.I goes deeper than this. This is him just on the surface, and then it all adds together. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I misquoted a line there. It was "We are the mafia."
We are hitmen, making hits every time that I spit, man. I mean, there's still
it's beautiful.
There's mafia, the hitmen, but the hitmen make hits every time that I spit. We are chairman, we are big men. I call you Nicole. Because to me, Nicole's last name, Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
So
as you went, you started going back to
I started giving a little, it's there, a little bit.
Fantastic.
But it's done in a playful way. I mean, my goal with MI2 was to contribute to the unlocking of hip-hop as a national genre.
Yeah.
So using high life, that style of high life, to make something that even our fathers, our mothers can listen to and be like, okay, this one too is rap. I like this sound, and trying to do so authentically, was the challenge.
It's fantastic. Yeah. Not many, well, people know, but people don't know that you're a baller.
Yeah. So I tell people that if I was not rapping, I would be playing defensive midfield for Nigeria and Arsenal,
And you played so well. You and I have played together in the past. I remember us in defense and midfield, one game, and we're playing against Kanu, JJ, Amokachi. I think even Ikpeba was in that game at Campus Mini Stadium. And we're looking at ourselves like, short man.
Do you know that day? I tell people about playing against JJ.
I tell you, man.
Like, JJ is the one footballer that you make a plan for him and you approach him and it's like magic. Yeah. It's like, I still remember it was like I went into a cloud and when I came out, he was on the other side of the field.
Waste of time.
It's like the guy is something else. I mean, the other guys, you can tell they're professionals, you can tell they're way better than you, but there's something about JJ, the way he moves. And
it's called us one miserable free kick like that day.
That day, I mean, your memory is amazing.
Yeah. But you played like a god that day.
And listen, guys, I need this second clip, guys. I need this second clip to go to who is the Mikel Arteta? Listen over here.
They sent me one. They sent me one photo of me trying to stop Kanu in that game, as I shot as Kanu tall. So they framed it. It was on a frame. They sent it to me. I still have it in my house. Where my kids say,
But isn't that great? These are some of the world's greatest footballers of all time. And we got to play with them. Yeah. It's like amazing.
To just kick the ball and run around with them. Yeah. All right. So let's go into some of the heavy lifting. But before we even do that, some family roots. People know that Jesse Jaggs is your brother.
Yeah.
Some people are not so very clear about your relationship with Ice Prince. Are they cousins? Are they family? Are they brothers? Are they friends?
That's a great question too, as well. So Ice Prince, we're not of blood relation, but we are family. And the way I describe it is that when I just come back from the US from college, we set up our studio, Jesse and I, in a place called Lamingo in Jos. And just down the road, that's Ice Prince, their family estate. It was just down the road. One day, we heard a knock on the door and we came out. We saw some 3 young men and they were like, "Is M.I here?" I said, "I'm M.I." He said, "I want to battle you. You know, this is how we met." The first thing is like, "I would love to rap battle you." And so I can't remember what happened. We did some sort of rap battle, but I just remember his intensity. And over the next like 3 years, there's a way that we use the word brothers when you go through certain things with people.
True.
That becomes like Jesse and I have that as well, even though we're brothers. But Ice Prince, Abuchi, there are a few of us that became brothers through the journey of coming up. And now we're like deeply embedded family, Yeah, man, Ice Prince is my brother, my younger brother in every ramification, except the fact that if you go and check genetically, you will not be able to prove that brother.
Yeah. And there's a Jos connection to everything.
Exactly.
What's it with you guys who grew up in Jos? I don't know the kind of human beings growing up in Jos now.
Yeah.
But back in the day, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, if you started out in Jos, you were, especially if you went into broadcasting or any other form of entertainment, music, you're special.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's a good question that I think maybe somebody down, maybe this is something for one of your masterpieces you create for us, is an expose on why Jos. Because you're right about the fact it goes before me. You think even the early Nollywood days in broadcasting, a lot of people either have a Jos origin story or a Jos story. Either I went to school, I went to NYSC and it impacted them, secondary school, something. I feel like everything around the creative arts. So let's say you went through UniJos in theater arts or mass comm. I feel like the best place where as you are learning, you are doing because of the weather, because of the way the people are, the scenery, the mood, the culture. It's just a great place to be a creative. I have a friend that says that when she's in Jos sometimes, she says, "Is this real? It feels so magical." You see fireflies, butterflies in summer. It's like a really beautiful, magical place. And for the mind of a creative, that allows you to explore. So I feel maybe it's just the ecosystem. Because I really find that creative gene is spread evenly across Africans. Like, I used to really think Jos was ahead of the curve. I started traveling. I would go to Enugu. I'll sit down and listen to young people. I'm like, what the? Go to Port Harcourt. You go up north. Wherever you go, you see that there's, we as a people, we're insanely creative.
Yeah.
But I feel from an ecosystem perspective, Jos allows you in your early creative days to be truly expressive and well received. So maybe people just have more practice in being themselves creatively that shines through as they go forth.
I kind of agree. I mean, I've even said on this table, I can't remember who I was speaking with. Maybe it was Frank Edoho or who was that. And I said, there are 4 places in this country, whether it's broadcasting or entertainment, when people come from there, they're usually horned. It starts with Jos. There's Calabar. There is Enugu. And then there is Ibadan.
Wow,
Yes.
That's actually a great. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
When you really think about it in this country. There's
I
something,
definitely know Enugu for sure.
Yeah, Enugu, fantastic.
What? When I was in Enugu, I mean, it was a different setup. But when I enter the radio station or go to places, and the same way we had I remember 042 everywhere, they have the same identity as well.
Yeah.
Then when I got to meet Flavor a little bit, he told me about his story. It just sounded like, an artist coming up in Jos, playing at the bars there, going from place to place. You see the connection between Flavor to Fino to Ill Bliss. They go all the way back, and the plethora of artists that part of the country has given us. Waje, people that grew up there and their careers went through there. So I definitely have seen Enugu, but
Lagos people don't like it when I say this. And Lagos is the hub. Nothing can change that. But that Lagos is best for exposure, but not for grounding, not for the foundational part of it. And I still feel Jos, Enugu, Calabar, and Ibadan are amongst the top places in this country. Talking about family, how's my fantastic friend and uncle of yours, Dr. Weeba?
Oh wow! Yeah, Weeba is doing really well. He's
used to all through COVID. We had a show. We were on air
that's true
every week during COVID.
Oh my lord! My lord! I forgot that Weeba was on radio. I forgot he invited me.
Yeah. We were supposed to talk to you once. I can't remember what happened. Yeah. Interestingly, I met Weeba after he had written his book on Nigerian football.
So I think he came to do an interview, and then
he came and did an interview on my sports show, with Femi and the gang. And so he came and I met this man. That was the first time. So I'd heard the name before, but I was meeting him for the first time. And I read a bit of his book on air that day, and the fans loved it. I was at the launch of the book. I even read the passage with Governor Donald Duke, who also read a passage. It was a fantastic.
That was a fantastic launch.
Yes.
I remember.
And the moment we had that conversation, I just told him I need to have you more on radio. It started by me wanting to promote that book more, but as we spoke and I got to know him, I realized we had some very strong areas of interest. So we started talks about alternative source of energy. He, with his Shell background and what they were doing with all on, and all of that. So we had this thing going on, and then COVID came. We then decided to spend COVID trying to really help out. We even had Banky W on one of those episodes, and many of these guys. But he's not just your uncle. Yeah. No, he's also your teacher, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, look, Weeba, I will say two things about Weeba. The first one is that when I was a really young man in Jos, and Weeba, this is before he's gone to university, Weeba was known all over the States. He was a long distance runner, and he would run from the city all the way to Miango, and everyone knew him. He had long flowing hair, and he just run everywhere. And that sort of, imagine back then just seeing a white young man running around the city. That is the way I describe Weeba and his love for Nigeria. It's something else. Like even recently I saw a picture of him. He was in, I think they traveled to the Caribbean, somewhere where his wife is from.
Yeah.
And he was still wearing, he had a Jukun sash on his thing. His children were holding Nigerian flags. Like, here is someone who his heart for Nigeria is, I can't even explain. From football, what they did with All On Energy, with catalyzing the renewable energy space, it's now fully alive. But a lot of those early investments came through All On, and he was the CEO.
Certainly.
His work across development, across many industries. And I'll end saying that Weeba is probably the only Oyibo man that I know, that can win. I feel he can win election in Plateau State. Not even through top down. Not like I know the powers that be. Grassroots up. Like, this is someone that's known by farmers. He's known by the common man, and he's loved because at every moment through his journey, he takes the time to go, to touch base with people, to visit, to invest in people, farmers. He's always connecting. He's like, and you're right. In many ways, my life he's been like, I'm the firstborn in my family. So he's been like the big brother that I've always had to look at and be like, wow, this guy's so amazing. Look at the great things he does, So shout out to Weeba.
That guy's probably more Nigerian than you and me.
My brother.
Fantastic. I remember the first time he told me that M.I's mom is my elder sister. And my jaws literally dropped. I was like, and great guy. I kind of I feel bad. He doesn't spend as much time in Nigeria these days. But that is one asset that Nigeria has had, and he carries it, he wears it like a badge of honor.
Look, I mean, wherever he is, I'll tell you that Weeba is pushing the agenda of Nigeria.
No doubt. I see the images.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
the job he just left now, he was president of a university, and the Nigerian community got first dips. We got the sweet part of the pot. Do you know what I mean? Where all the meat is and the fish and all the, the medders. That's what we got. Like, whatever he does, I know that he always has us in his heart. And
he taught you during your masters, eh?
He did, yeah.
In the US.
Yeah. Oh man, during my undergrad, he taught me African history. African history. He was a PhD student in Yale.
Yeah.
But he came back to Calvin in Michigan to come and teach African history, and he was one of the people that lectured us.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy. So let's leave a family. Let's talk about you and some feuds you've had today.
I did for you.
And when I say you are my go-to man when it comes to rap on the continent, there's some other Nigerians to think you guys were reigning during the days of Mode 9, Vector. What's the story with you and Vector? Was it Vector, Kelly Handsome? What's that?
Yeah.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, two different stories. So Kelly Handsome and I, we didn't know each other early on in our career. And I feel like Kelly Handsome, the way I describe him now is like, he's one of those really talented Nigerians that didn't get his opportunity fully given to him. Like, I have so much. I'm a songwriter, I'm a producer, I make hits. You think about Kelly Handsome in that time, now I don't know much about his situation. I can just say, meeting him, I know he's very talented and he never really got, let's say, what's due to him fully. And I feel that framed his approach. So at the time, he was very critical of a lot of D'banj, Two-Face, myself, a lot of us. And I didn't really know him, but I had said something about him. I had a song where I said, Kelly Handsome is handsome. I tell him if I see him, but if I want a man, it would be Cheque or D1. And what I was trying to say, I was talking about a girl who was saying, I know one any small boy. Even if this small boy and a boy with a pop, I want the chairman. It's a song called Fast Money, Fast Cars. And it was a mindset. I come from Plateau State. We were grown up to see society differently. So I came into Lagos, I'm seeing, that song is my story. But it wasn't anything personal about Kelly Handsome. I also spoke about Two-Face and other people that I respect. But I'm saying, this baby's like, I don't even want to Baba. I want, he was offended by it. He responded. I responded, and I was just in that red hot moment where my own responses caught fire. Vector, I met Vector early on and we met through mutual respect. Immediately we met. In fact, the day we met, I remember that I performed and I could see him. He was watching me and I could see, as MCs, okay, I get this guy. And then also that day, they did a thing where they asked him to freestyle, like they say, outside the box. He's like, outside, I might ride, he was just freestyling with everything. And I remember, I still remember the picture in my head of seeing him and being like, whoa. Then I felt for a period that he unfairly would focus on me and comment negatively about me through my career. And so I felt at a certain point later in my career, around 2019, I felt, okay, this is now being perceived, not just that this thing is happening, but it's now being perceived as if I am being passive. And so I was like, okay, let us express ourselves, and I feel we did. I feel Nigeria enjoyed our expression. People have different perspectives of it. But as most things happen with two great artists, when you express and you express, if you have the moment to sit down and talk, what will come out of it is mutual respect, And we've had the moment. We've broken bread together since then. Him and I have sat down. We've really spoken. I think I've gotten to understand him a lot more. See, how he sees the world. I have a lot of respect for him as a person. I think even in that beef, if somebody goes back and plays back all the things I'll say, you will see that M.I actually really respects Vector, as a person. And he's one of those MCs that I feel we've not even seen his best yet, as he continues to evolve and even mature. Like, the thing about us is that we're becoming better as men. So I think we'll become better in pen. You see the rhyme there? Better as men, better in pen. Because those life experiences, marriage, fatherhood, a new way of looking at wealth creation, growing your networks, those kind of things, they will also filter in through our soul, into our music. And I just look forward to seeing, more of what he does. And I'm speaking 100% genuinely about this. This is my true feelings about him. At the time we had a problem, we trashed it. I was very happy with everything that I said what I needed to say. And then him and I met together in secret. We discussed it. Then we also did a public sort of unity message. We worked with the brand for 3 years to give a platform to other rappers, and we've moved on,
You just talked about marriage, how it changed you. Remember, before you got married, there was a time you talked about going on dating sites. What was that experience? What was that experience like? What did it do to you? And did you meet Madame on one of those dating sites?
Man, to be honest with you, if there's any young man listening to me, all the young men filming here, listen, if you're not married, listen, I'm looking at you guys in the crowd here. Listen to me. Let me talk to you about marriage. So I think early on in my career, I thought about marriage the wrong way. Let me put it like this. Like, when we talk about marriage from a spiritual context, we use the word helper a lot. But I think what most people see when they think about that word helper is they see like you are the main person doing the main work and you have an assistant, Now I look at it like you are in a big ditch and you need someone to help you out, and that's what I would say the process of getting married has taught me. Because the ditch we're in as men, it's a real ditch. Let me tell you one. It's a ditch of loneliness. As a man, you're working towards loneliness. No matter how successful you are, the older you get, you are just working more and more, and you're more on your own, and you're more, and you're giving more to people, you're giving to family, you're giving to community, you're giving to society. Society just needs you to give. And what's in it for you? There's only one dedicated way in humanity that we've seen that you can now create something for yourself, which is a family. And you cannot do it on your own. You actually need someone to come and lift you out of a hole and help you build a family together, which is the most powerful thing I think you can build as a person. It's not easy. I'm not an expert. I'm young in marriage. But I would say, like, I never realized that I was truly alone. I always had a team around me. I had label people. I had young artists. There were babes, and I'm so grateful to the Most High that actually some things happened in my life that made me realize that, whoa, you're actually on your own. And then I met. As soon as that realization came to me and I think I processed it, I was able to realign myself with the fact that, oh, Jude, you're on your own actually, and you need to now approach the world from that perspective. Immediately that happened, I was like, okay, I need a partner, somebody that will walk this journey with me. My brother, literally, the first person I spoke to told me, there's a girl you should meet. And he just called her name, Eniola Mafe. And I just went to her page. I saw her. Her hair was, she had an afro on hers and on a story. And when I was a young man, I used to always say to myself that, the woman I'm going to marry is going to have an afro. So as soon as I saw her, I was like, is this a joke? It's like, is this a joke? My childhood. And, I can just speak from my perspective, like, it's changed me in a way that has benefited me. through the, like, marriage is both things. It's good times and it's bad times, when I talk about like the process of you guys coming together, but of course, economic good times, bad times. There's family good times, bad times. You face everything together, but even in connecting, but if you are able to go through those times with your partner and somehow learn how to be the best version of yourself in all those times, it's the greatest gift you can have, because then you really truly become who you want to become, and I think that's the gift of marriage. It helps you become your best self.
I wonder though, from the moment you saw her, you were like, I can imagine that you went both feet in and all of that. I wonder what it was for her, or how, at what point she decided to give you a look in or something. But I don't expect that it was love at first sight. But then,
no, definitely not from her. In fact, she friend zoned me at first. She was like, "Look, I don't do this. I'm not." She's like
she treated you like a client.
She's like top of the development world as well, globally. Like a company that she works for, they build bridges across Africa and for rural communities. This is really great work, especially in East Africa. They've built, I would say, hundreds of bridges, maybe up to thousands now. So small villages, they put a bridge. So like sometimes those villages are cut off from medical access or education. People have to cross a river. So that's their bridges to prosperity is what they're called. And she's the global lead for advocacy for them. So imagine now you're a Nigerian rapper. Yeah, of course, you don't get, you don't have to do, you get your own small hoodies, but you're talking to a babe that's not really...
a really big girl.
You know what I mean? That's not what is going to move her. And so it's really been about like Jude and Eniola, two friends trying to build a life together and respect both people's perspectives. And yeah, again, as I said, it's a gift that is changing me, because it was not always clear to me how to be a man in those situations. A lot of times what I think being a man means is the wrong thing for this context, but now I'm learning more and more. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And it improves you. Yeah.
Is she supportive of your music though?
Oh, my wife, I have to beg her sometimes. I have to beg her, baby, please don't tweet. Baby, please don't. Like, she's the most supportive person.
Because you can say like, man, you can be anything else. We have enough. We'll be fine. You can leave music. But she encourages you.
She's the most supportive person. The most. When I started trying to raise money for my company task, she was the first person that gave me a check. When it talks about music, in fact, there are clips online that she's the one, when I'm talking about something recording, she's filming. She has a catalog of things. She's always supporting. To be honest with you, a lot of times I'm like, babe, I don't need your advice on this, or you know what I mean? Because she maybe I've not thought deep about the issue, but she has done a 10-page expose. You need to think about this way. She is the most supportive. Like, it's such a gift to have. She comes for the shows. She travels with me. She's with me in the studio. She's with me in design. Sometimes she comes and sits in my office and listens to me on meetings. I mean, she has her own work, you know what I mean? But every free moment she has, she comes and listens. She's the most supportive person. Yeah.
And now you're a dad.
Not yet, though.
Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So in a way, I accept two ways. First of all, I accept it by faith. I'm a dad, number one. Number two is I do have some people that I consider my kids.
Your kids,
but we in our marriage, we've not yet had a child yet. But stay tuned.
I'm tuned, heavily tuned. How do you manage that triangle though?
Yeah.
Your music, your entrepreneurship, and marriage.
Yeah, I think that's what I was referring to earlier about the journey of becoming a man,
Because for some people, they just keep clashing.
Every one of these is difficult. That's the truth about being a human being. There's a truth we have to say to ourselves that your career alone, if you want to reach the top, is difficult enough. You need help to get there. You need maybe 10-man team to get to the top. Your marriage alone, if you want to reach the top, we are a successful married couple. You need maybe guidance counselor. You need family that get along. You need friends, a healthy community, and then even like you say, you have a creative passion. So for me, that's music. But let's say for somebody else, they love sports or they love art and they want to throw themselves and let that process refine them too. Every single one of these is a lifelong venture. And you need help, you need humility, you need patience to be able to bear the journey, because it's a tough journey, you know. But to maybe answer your question more specifically, so that if somebody out there can learn something about how I manage it, I have learned to use my calendar very well. So that means that I try to sit every week and say, what do I need to get done and when am I going to do it? And I put it into my calendar so that on Monday when I wake up, it's already predetermined what I'm going to do. One of the things I've learned is that there's a part of calendaring that we don't do, which is that we don't account for the time that we need to think or we need to strategize. You know, a lot of times we only schedule the work. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to write an article. So we just schedule, I'm going to write from 1 to 3. But we don't say, I need to ideate. I need to daydream before I do the article. So I'm going to daydream from 9 to 11. So that also helps me. I try to schedule that time in. I try to delegate a lot. So now I'm learning. That's something I'm improving on. But it's like, okay, I saw Elon Musk say something recently where he said, oh no, not Elon Musk. Someone was talking about Elon Musk. And he was saying that Elon Musk has, the two words he says, signal and noise.
Yes.
So signal
I saw
is,
that too.
yeah, signal is like, what is the most critical, important thing you need to do right now? That is you that can do it. And if it's not done, the rest of the things fall apart. So let me use my company, for example. My signal is we're trying to raise money to grow the company. That's signal for me. Now, outside of signal, there's like branding for the company. There's customer satisfaction. There's signing new clients. There's revenue. But the thing is that if I raise the money, those other things become easier. So you need to have a clarity on what's signal, what's noise, and focus on signal. Even though you're going to be hearing a lot of noise. This has not been done. That has not been done. And then, I have a great partner. So, like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, something happened in our room, a day before yesterday, and it's my responsibility to take care of it. But this morning when I woke up, she's like, I've spoken to him. You need to finish the conversation. You need to. So in that way, I'm not one, I'm two. You know, as challenges come along, you know, even if I'm not able to get something, my partner can be like, hey, I've taken a step. So, but I say this all, brother, to say that I never reach anywhere. Now learn, I learn. You know what I mean? I'm yellow belt or white belt karate. You know what I'm saying? So this is what this is my white belt learning.
Yeah,
you know, I'm sharing.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to pick up on that, you had talked about your journey as a man, but this talk about still learning, you've talked about being more as a man. I wonder how that has shaped your opinion about everything, perspectives, society, this journey towards growing and all of that. I wonder what your thoughts are about being more as a man in an ever-changing society with ever-changing perspectives.
Wow, this is a great question. It's a great question. Let me talk about somebody that I just saw to me that's more than a man. You know, so I had the privilege of meeting T.Y. Danjuma not too long ago. And I met him we shared the same local government. So I met him in our shared local government. And that morning, they took me to go and see a dam that he's built. My brother, when I show you this dam, it's like a government did it.
Whoa. And it's just him.
Him. In fact, his village have free light today. Then from there, we drove to a hospital that he's built, world class. From there, we drove to a university that he's built, world class. From there, we drove to a hotel he's built so that if you want to go and visit your children in that place, world class. To me, when I leave my house in the morning and I run, I see young kids sleeping on the side of the road. I see dirt. I see our alleyways stuck. This is Lagos, you know. And please, I'm not in any way trying to disrespect Lagos. Lagos is one of the most amazing cities in the world. I'm just talking about what my eyes see. I see that we as a society could do with more men that are more, you know? And it's not an easy journey, you know? This world fights against men. It fights against, again, please, I'm not talking, before they say M.I is only talking about men. It's the same for women too. It's just that because I'm a man, I can speak more authoritatively on that, my own experience. It fights against us from our schooling. A lot of us have been denied the right education that will help us succeed. A lot of us were denied the time with our fathers and the actual training that we should have gotten, you know. A lot of us are not even given those assets, you know, that if, for instance, you come from 3-4 generations of men that are intentional, you walk into a system that's organized, there's an estate, there's money set aside, there's educational, there's traditions. You know, we are from a people, a lot of us, that war, colonialism, there's been so much impact, and we are still trying to repackage and reorganize the place. So I see us, the journey, and may God have mercy on all of us, because I see the journey as like, how do we get to a place where we are full enough to start giving back every day? Start giving back, so that when we are reached our end, people can say, this guy has done more than is required of him. Just the same way when I sat with T.Y. Danjuma that day, I was like, this man has done more. Because he's a general.
Yeah.
That means he fought for the security of Nigeria for years. He followed through that system. He gave of himself. He reached the top of that field. He has been acquitted. When you become a general, the country has to say you've been acquitted. You've done your part. And still, he's still doing more, you know, in his older years, he's still doing more. To me, that's the journey for all of us. And may the Most High be kind enough to give us those opportunities so that we can, through our travails, through our troubles, we can reach the point in our lives where we're able to go back to our villages. We're able to go back to our communities and be like, yeah, there was a son born from this community, and those problems I will contribute. Those problems I will help, you know. And I don't think like it's only for, and I'm talking about T.Y., who is somebody that's had a massive financial wealth.
Yeah.
But it's not just that, you know, it's moral leadership. Sometimes the person in your community that really left an impact was that teacher that was selflessly teaching for generations. And maybe when he left, he had one small personal house. He didn't have so much, but you could see that he left that society better off. Or a doctor that says, you know, I've been here, I've seen 1,000 children come through, you know. I'll just use an example for yourself now. Use an example. So there's an artist I met. He won an award like a few years ago. And I saw him now, you know, he's a Taraba guy. So I'm like, oh, you're in Lagos. And you remember the interaction?
Yeah,
I said, are you going to stay in Lagos? He said, if my Oga agrees. Now, what do I mean? Like, maybe the whole of his story is not known to you.
Yeah.
But through your own journey, your own excellence, your own refusal to give up, refusal to, you know, day in, night out, working, skilling your craft. Now he, as a young man, has an opportunity to expand his own territory. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's not always the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's about the little things done consistently over a lifetime that, you know, make us really great.
You know, I called that young man to my office a couple of days ago and I asked him, you are weeks away from service. What do you hope to do? Where do you hope to go? And then he broke it down. There's the Abuja and all of that. But at the end, I heard what I wanted to hear, that he would rather be in Lagos. And then from that moment on, I just felt like, you know, if it's within my power, I'll keep this young man here.
Yeah. And look, the truth about it is that you've already, for him to want to be in Lagos, you've already completed one mission 100%. You know what I mean? Because many people come to Lagos and they say, I'm not doing it.
No,
they came to the wrong person, to the wrong setup. They didn't learn anything. They didn't feel safe. They didn't. So, you know what I mean? Like maybe maybe your own journey with him, I don't know, but maybe your own journey with him is completed here, and maybe he goes and joins the label and whatever. But the point is, like, he didn't come into this space just off of the fact that somebody said, let's do a podcast. He came into the space off of years of you doing what you do excellently. And to me, that's what it is. That's what it means. It's like when we have a country where the men are doing that, we're excellent, we're diligent, we're consistent, we follow our path, we keep improving, we create safe spaces. I feel that's what it means. And you don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to be a millionaire. You know?
You're right, Emma. My philosophy has always been my journey. It's not of your mapping. So if we cross paths during my journey, assist me if you can, or at least don't get in my way. You know, and I always bear that in mind. But you see, the moment you mention T.Y. Danjuma, you just, you know, I'm going to ask you
please.
politics related questions. So I have two for you. One was, I'm taking you 10 years back. You jumped in the ring and supported a particular candidate and a party and all of that. How did that go? Because, you know, at some point...
In fact, they're dealing with me. Somebody gave one very strong critique to me, which I just wore. You know, in the scriptures, they say they say some people put ashes on themselves. That day they poured ashes on me and I accepted the ashes. You know, I say, yes, I'm guilty here. But please, let me ask you a question.
So you supported Buhari, you supported APC, and then, you know, at some point think you've gone on record to even say you probably regretted, you know, some of the stance you're taking. What was the pivot? What was your state of mind at the time, and when did it change? What happened?
I love the fact you've asked this question because I think it gives me a chance to explain myself. So the first thing I want to say is that, you know, I don't repent of my throwing myself in the ring. That was a very big step for me, to go from the comfort of being an artist into the comfort of saying, this is my opinion. I don't repent of getting it wrong. I don't repent on changing my mind later, because once you get in the ring, one of the things you have to know is that once you enter the ring, any ring, there's going to be a loser, there's going to be a winner. The loser needs the winner needs the loser. If not, the two can't. If not, the ring has no purpose. So if you are the loser, you've played your role and you should accept it humbly. And if you are the winner, you've played your role. So I say this to say that I am so proud when I see young people today staking their hearts on the candidate they believe in. If that candidate turns out to be the wrong candidate, should we come back and say they were wrong for supporting their values? I don't think so. So on that point, I want to say that I feel I did the right thing in my years at the time to say, I want to get involved. I didn't just start from, you know, when people tell the story, I didn't just start from supporting a political candidate. In fact, I had been apolitical my whole career. Presidential candidates had come to me to offer me money. It's on the record, and I stayed out of it. The second thing is that I actually didn't support the party or the candidate as much as I supported the governorship candidate for Lagos. That's where I threw my heart in 100%. There's a candidate called Ambode, and I believed in Ambode 100%. I used to speak to him one-on-one. And Ambode, the reason I supported him was Ambode had a very clear picture for the creative industry. He said, when I get into office, I'm going to try and create the ecosystem where the creative industry can continue to grow and continue to do its work. Now, for this, I give Lagos an A. Through the hardship of Lagos and all the things, you know, the creative industry has largely been supported by Lagosians.
True.
Largely. We can say, oh, we didn't do this right, we didn't do this. But as somebody that I'm born from Taraba, I grew up in Jos, I am so grateful to Lagosians. And I got into the conversation. I felt like at the time, the candidate we went for was the right candidate, which was Ambode. I supported him. I knew him personally, you know, and I threw my hat in the ring. Now, I was also emotionally against the Goodluck presidency. And the reason why I was against it was because of Bring Back Our Girls. I felt that presidency had done something that was unpardonable at the time. This was my feelings, and that we were ready for change. And as a young man, hearing stories about, when I was really young, I heard stories about Buhari and his integrity,
an anti-corruption stance.
Which I felt at the time, like corruption was getting out of hand, As a young person, could I have deepened my knowledge about, economic perspectives, and seeing the trajectory of what a different mindset can do to the economy of a country. I didn't have that knowledge. Did I understand the full context of the political system in Nigeria? I didn't understand that. So those are the things when I say I didn't know. I acknowledge, because I'm growing as a person, So now, my candidate for the last election was Peter Obi. I voted for him. I voted Labour Party on presidential. I voted PDP for Banki. And I voted, because I voted in Lagos, Etiosa. And I voted, I can't remember who the candidate was for Senate. Yeah, I can't remember my choice. But those two took up, because Banki was running PDP. And my vote was the end of was the last part of my participation. Like when people talk about my speaking for Ambode, that's the last part. What people don't also say is that I advocated for registration to vote. I advocated for young people to come out and vote. It was a whole process, and I just completed my own personal choice, which people are calling me account for. Now that I'm older, what I feel is that my perspective has changed a little bit. And I look very proudly on the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds who are carrying a lot of the energy that I had when I was younger, speaking out, fighting. And maybe I didn't get it right. Maybe that generation can look at me and say, Jude, you made the wrong decision here. You made the wrong decision. I accept it. When I was a young man, 20 years old, I was trying to point to the 40-year-olds. You made a mistake here. Why were you guys silent? And a lot of times they are defensive. I don't want to take that stance. I want to learn from the young generation, because now I look at society as like a sandwich, and each generation has a role. Agitation should come from a certain age group. They're the ones that are on the ground level. They're the ones that just came from school. They're the ones that go to the hospitals more. They're the ones that have less money than the average person. So they are going to speak most loudly. I feel that the role of the people in the 40s and the 50s, in a country where the 60s and 70s are still in power, they don't need to be in office. They just need to own the companies. They just need to own the banks. They need to own the financial systems. They're in power. Is to now be the mediator and the unlocker, for the young people. And I want to play that role really well. So what I do now is that I still participate in elections work. I believe in the electoral system in Nigeria. It can be improved, but it's what we have now, and we need to participate for it to work. Because without participation, it does not work. And when it does not work, it produces a different result for us, and we are all going to bear the burden. I also believe that now I'm less critical, because my critique can come in a project that I present to the government, right? Rather than me tweeting about saying, the governor of so-so did so-so and so, I can say, okay, what should they have done instead? And I can go and talk to 3 or 4 friends, and I can go and sit on the governor and say, this is what we want to do, So I can listen, I can adapt, and that's my perspective today. Will my perspective change? Of course, maybe it may change as I grow older and I learn more. But I try to participate in terms of bringing non-profits. This is what the Workers Task has done a lot. Non-profits into the space where they can collaborate with more creatives. This is the reason I worked with Ambode in the first place, creative industry. Secondly, in Jos and other places, I'm trying to build my relationships respectfully in even my own home state, Taraba as well, and in Jos and in Lagos and across the country at a national level, so that when I hear a critique, I can be one of those that young people can hold. They can shout at, they can yell at, they can be like, you disappointed us. They need an outlet, and they need voices that they can hear and be part of that journey. And so the work continues, the work continues, and it's not like I have the answers, but I'm grateful that you asked the question because I feel it allowed me to go into the complexity of the answer. You know, I didn't found Nigeria. I didn't create most of the macro problems. I am a victim as well. And through my life, I've realized that life in different places has made me play different roles. And like every human being, my record is not 100%. You know, it's maybe, let's say, 50%. And my job is to continue to improve that record so that it doesn't fall below 50, to continue to learn, to be humble, to listen when I made something wrong. And that part doesn't bother me. When people call me out online and people are like, M.I, you did this, it doesn't bother me because the same heart that I used to make that decision that you're calling wrong today is the same heart I'm using to listen, to improve, you know, and that's the important part, you know. Yeah.
I think I feel you. And even when you mentioned Ambode, I had just one opportunity to sit down with him when he was running for governor. He came to my station and, you know, he just walked into the newsroom and he wanted to use the restroom and I showed him the way and I just had a brief conversation. I was talking about sport. When he knew I was Femi of the gang, he was talking about sports. And when he started to talk, I was looking at him with one eye. Was this one saying, coming off Fashola, who was seen as the sports football governor. What are you going to say?
Yeah.
But the kind of things, his ideas for grassroots development and all of that, in just a few minutes, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the thing about him was that, look, the closest I've been to a governor is recently. And to be honest, it humbled me because what I understood is that, look, I'm a tech founder now. And when I was a musician, I thought I used to work hard. So I'm a hardworking musician. So I can be in the studio for 5 days nonstop, go sleep or come back. When I became a tech founder, I started working twice as hard. And I was telling my wife yesterday, I said, the work doesn't stop. Like, I can tell you what I need to be doing for the next 10 years. And every year is going to be more difficult than this year for me to achieve success with this platform. But when I look at our leaders, I feel they work 10 times as hard. And let me explain. It's not that I'm saying that they are 10 times as productive. No. Once you enter into the office, the problems that you see, the structures that you face, the communities of people, the historic problems, the respect that people want, the time they want from you, the way they want you to follow the way it was done in the past, the way that this money has been promised to this, that land has been promised to this. If you ever sit around them, like I'll just use, for instance, the governor of Plateau State. He's been very supportive of a lot of ideas I've had in the creative industry and trying to create an ecosystem for us to grow. Sometimes I go to see him and they'll say the meeting is at 10 p.m. And eventually I'll meet with him like 2:30 a.m. And God bless that man. He will be up. He'll sit with me. My brother, there's nothing that makes me have a 2:30 a.m. meeting as a tech founder. And I've been in the tech world. That's not normal. But in governorship in Nigeria, it's normal. Then you see the whole staff, they're tired, the security guys, and then they tell you tomorrow morning we're waking up, we're going to Niger, and we have a full day. And they do this for 4 or 5 months on end because everybody wants to talk. Every problem is long and hard. And so that has made me realize that if I'm close to this guy, just criticizing him is the wrong approach for me. Because just imagine being so frustrated. And then all of a sudden, somebody you just go online, you just see the person. This is nonsense. Am I going to respond rationally? Am I going to be like, I understand this person's pain? Or in my frustration and tiredness, am I going to be like, you know what I mean? They're human beings. So how can I be part of success? That's the role I want to play. How can I contribute? I have some lines. I don't play with my integrity. I try not to, I try to learn and make sure that I can listen and learn from the feedback I get. But I'm still throwing my hat in the ring to be part of change. I feel that's the right thing. Just being a moral critic on the sidelines, I don't think is the right thing. We're not meant to be spectators. We're meant to be partakers in the journey of moving Nigeria forward.
Would you run for office though?
That's a good question. I'm from Taraba State, and if the Most High gives me an opportunity to serve, let's use the word right, to serve. So the opportunity comes to me that, look, Jude, there's something here that needs to be done, and your service will create change. That's the only way that my answer, which is no, will become a yes. I don't think I'm the right person. I think there's some things that people point to, but I feel my heart is for the creative industry, it's for the creators, and I want to help build institutional infrastructure so that the next generation of young MIs don't have to face what I faced. They don't have to face what you faced. They come into a system that's more organized and more built for them. We cannot take the Western system and implement it in Nigeria and think it's going to work for us, or implement it in Africa, where our thought leaders are going to carefully build something that works for our own people, and give it to them. So leaving that, it's better for me to work alongside government, to achieve that goal, and really support governments that are also in, this is going to affect employment, it's going to affect gender statistics, it's going to affect so many things about our society. So I think that that's my zone, but I don't, if my state ever needs my service, that is the part, needs. Again, this is not about me saying, I need the office now. So if not, my answer is no. I'm not for politics, I'm for the work.
I mean, you gave a lot of answers, because there are a lot of questions that people have been asking, things that people have said.
I've been to a lot of interviews, and these questions I can see it in their eyes, but they don't ask. So I'm grateful that you're like, let's talk about this, because it gives me the opportunity to really answer.
I agree. I mean, considering how vocal you were a decade ago, really, and you've already said it, you've metamorphosed, all of that. Because some people say, why is M.I quiet now? We need him more now. This is probably when he should be talking more. And people, because 2027 is around the corner, and people are wondering, would you jump into the ring, throw your hat in again?
No, for sure not.
Or would it be this
for sure not.
version of
For sure not. For me to even enter politics, I mean, like Auntie Obi Ezekwesili, who's like a mother for this, one of the mothers of this nation that we have today, has a school called SPPG, where they are training the next generation of leaders. I would need to do things like that. I see Banky, my friend, just got a master's in public policy from Georgetown. Like Banky W to me is somebody that's doing it the right way. Thrown his hat in the ring. He's launched a party. He's constantly schooling and learning. To me, that's what leadership should look like. And I would want to follow that path. So, but again, as you said, you're right. I am more critical of the government now than ever before. But you will not hear it in my words. You will see it in the projects I'm working on.
A lot of artists, people say some artists avoid politics altogether. Heck, I avoid politics. If I wasn't in media, you wouldn't even see me with a politician. I've said this before, and I'm unapologetically so. When my friends go into politics, I mourn. It's like one friend lost. It's like, bye-bye, Omashu, I've lost another one. And those who are in politics know. They don't even see me. Some of them even try to reach out. Guy, this is our time. I was like, nah, your time. I'm not interested. But why is it that sometimes some of these celebrity musicians stay quiet? Because people wonder, is it the pressure? Is it just to play it safe? Some people, from what I'm hearing, is that these guys, they have a big platform. Why aren't they saying anything?
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple answers, I think. So first of all, I want to acknowledge what you said, because I think that just speaks to your integrity. you know, especially as we get older and our friends start getting into office. Sometimes there's a little bit of like, we don't enter. And it takes a man to say, okay, well done, but let me continue working on what I'm working on and following the path of integrity. That's what I was talking about earlier, about saying it's not just about the leader or the rich person. There are many things that we do that establish good things, you know. So now to your question, so the first reason why people don't speak out is probably because most artists have trauma around people's feedback. You know, I'll just use one example. There's an artist friend of mine where years ago in Dubai, and he was just talking with me, and he has a young daughter at the time. She was 7 years old. And he opened his DMs and he showed me a message someone sent to him. And the message said, "I will rape your 7-year-old daughter." When I spoke once, there was an argument around the backlash that may God rest his soul, AKA was facing at the time, you know. Now, I know AKA personally, and maybe he's tweeted some wrong things, but I know AKA has a deep love for Nigeria, you know. If you met him when he was alive, you would know that from the onset. This is a South African guy that loves Nigeria. So in a time when everybody was speaking out, I just felt, you know, I know this person personally. You know, I would always just imagine that somebody came and saying something about you.
Yeah.
Even if maybe you didn't do everything perfect and you were partly to blame for the thing, you would expect that your friends, that's a moment for integrity.
True.
To your friends to say, well, I know this person, you know, and I got death threats. Chilling death threats. People said, "We know where you come to in America. When you come, I'm going to kill you." You know, things like that. So this is part of the journey of fame that people don't see. For you to have 30% of your fans who love you, there are 70% of people that really hate you. Let's say 20% really hate you, then the remaining 50, they just talk negatively about you, free will. So most artists don't want to just be insulted in a conversation where they know that the outcome is just insults. You know, they know it. They can already see the beginning from the end. And it takes almost like a lot of like self-control to enter into a conversation where you know that, look, I have my perspective on this, and I'll share it in my community where it matters, but I don't want to enter into the public discourse and invite insult on myself. You know, that's number one. Number two is we're very mixed society. So most artists have a friend that's entered into politics, you know. And because you have a friend that's entered into politics, you might have a closer understanding of an issue, you know, and you are also seeing that person receiving the insults. And you don't just want your voice to be part of the insult. It's not like you don't think the person, you just don't want your own voice. Like you can, like, let me use an example. Like the governor of Jos, I have my perspective of meeting with him at those 2:30s. I've seen it. I've sat with him in the morning. He's tired. Do you understand? This is the governor of a state, and he's staying up to 2:30 to talk to me about my plan for the creative industry. So if something comes up today where he's getting a lot of pushback, I may refrain from speaking, not because I don't think that the critique is necessary for him, but because I want to speak to the person I met at 2:30. You know what I mean? He may need a few people that are going to be like, but I see what you did at 2:30. Yeah, you are getting a lot of kickback, but I still see the good in you. You know, this is part of being a human being, you know, and I feel there's a big part of it that comes from that as well.
True.
You know, where you can't really make it to a certain place in success in society without interfacing with leaders, without interfacing with people that have had money, they've built businesses, without meeting them as human beings, without seeing them as who they are as people. And there may come a time when all of a sudden the town calls for their head. And in that crowd, there's a deeper pain when you see somebody that saw your efforts as part of the crowd. Yeah, I failed, but you saw my efforts, and now you're part of the crowd, Caesar said, et tu, Brute, you too.
You too.
So I feel that that's the second reason. Of course, even I'm sure this response, people are going to take it out of context. But that's okay. Because again, as I said, when you enter a certain age, I feel, like what you are doing with your voice on radio, or in media, some people are doing in relationships, in smaller rooms, So, I think some people that have that experience to be in those rooms and see those people and speak, During NSARS, I remember that there was a lot of there were intermediaries who were in business, who were like, okay, how can we speak between the government and the young people, And we may see that these guys are sellouts. People might say they're sellouts, they didn't speak up. But a lot of the systems we use today in Nigeria that are helping people make money are run by those people. And those people got there by hard work, sacrifice, building relationships, and those relationships have probably given them empathy for the people that are in leadership who are facing the problems every day. And they may just choose that, okay, in the day of crisis, it's not that I'm not going to work for good. I'm just not going to pick a stone and throw as well, And so these are the two things I've seen. Maybe there are more answers, but these are the two things I understand. And I have empathy for them. Again, as I said, like these two roles are not more important than the person that criticizes. In fact, change a lot of times starts from the person that criticizes. That person is very important. So they're just roles in a dance that society plays out,
I hear you.
I wonder if you agree. You're just listening to me like,
I hear you.
Emma, yeah.
Interestingly, because many of the things that you say, I can relate. For instance, David Hundeyin, who's one young man I admire
So much.
and really respect a whole lot, and who, if he comes after you journalistically, he has his receipts.
Yeah.
So they say some people talk anyhow, but some people, when they start to talk about you, be very afraid because they don't just talk until they have a measure of.
And recently he was very critical of me of something.
I respect him. I saw him tweeting something very critical of somebody that I know.
Yeah. Really?
In the context. And John, it was the first time I'd responded to him like that. And I just said, I don't know what the thing is, but this man, I did not agree. I shared my thoughts.
Yeah.
A number of people called me and said, Mr. Femi, some people responded, we've known you as a person of integrity, just sit this out and all of that. Well, maybe I shouldn't have bothered. But is integrity always popular? Yeah. So the thing is, and I'm not saying that man is perfect. I'm only saying there are things being said about this man that I find hard to bring together based on what I know about the same man.
Yeah.
And, and once or twice again, it has happened. There's another guy who's Akin Alabi, who's made money from betting, who's thrown himself in politics, who is of a royal background in Ibadan, who I knew my days in Ibadan and all of that. There was a time somebody said some things against, I just felt. So I don't put my mouth in things. You won't see me making political comments, but if I have a personal relationship with that person, or I know that person, and I feel that, no, this cannot be, I may say something.
And sometimes the person needs that voice.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, let me just use Mr. Akin, for instance, example. I mean, look, he's in leadership.
Yeah.
Has he done things maybe that are deserving of critique? I don't know. I don't.
They all do.
But I'm
Trust
sure
me,
they are.
Yeah, everybody does. If you are, especially if you are in the eye of the needle.
Of course.
Yeah.
But on the day when he's being stoned in the public sphere, should there be a group of friends that are like, but we've seen the good and we're going to speak the good so that you can come out of this and continue to do more good. And that's why I'm saying there are two roles. The roles, both roles are important. And to be honest with you, one of the things I've learned is that most times integrity is not. Let's use David Hundeyin as an example. Now I feel David has established his credibility in a way that is very forceful.
Yeah.
But I can imagine it was not an easy journey for him.
No, certainly.
I can imagine that there was a time when the world was more against him than it was for him. And he kept speaking his truth. So even the other day, as he said a tweet about me, he said, M.I has been on the wrong side of every decision, major decision. And when I saw it, for someone so knowledgeable, I was like, wow, may God give me a chance to chat with him one day. Quietly, I'll say, David, give me the facts. Where was I wrong here? I want to learn. I want to learn. Because even in that day, with the pain of being singled out, and I even think his tweet was so respectful to me. David can go in.
Yeah, he can tear into you.
The day David wants to tear into you go feel him more. Even if you don't read the tweet, you go feel him for
people don't know that part of him. He's actually quite respectful.
Yeah.
Even like me, for instance, even when I said, no, I don't believe this man, he could have turned into me.
Yeah.
But he just honored me. He didn't really feel like...
I felt, even in his tweet, I saw it, I felt that there was grace in it. But should now I say that because I'm criticized, that David's voice should be stilled? Do you know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And to me, the other way is also true as well. Sometimes maybe a David will be wrong on an issue. Yeah. And on that day, the whole town will shout on, it was Tony Femi. Yeah. And then 10 years later, everybody will come and say, oh, wow, we actually got this wrong. Yeah. Both roles were still important that day. And that's the thing. For me, from inside looking out, I just accept that, look, you're going to be wrong. It's part of being a human being.
Yeah.
But you have to learn and move forward. And that's what's important. And always act through integrity. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always felt sometimes the world makes you and the world mars you. The Sega Link issue was a big thing. He was everybody's hero. And then I was surprised when everybody started dragging it in the mud. I always remember that we are human beings first. And because we are all imperfect, we are going to make a wrong decision someday and all of that. Just the same way that I like to make excuses for my mistakes, or when I'm not up to form, or when I make mistakes, I own up to it. But at the same time, I'm not going to kill myself because I made a mistake. I never can understand why somebody should be destroyed, killed because he made a mistake. Everybody's entitled to their mistakes, but we need to go. I want to talk about the wolf.
Yay.
Tell me about the wolf and why your upcoming album seems focused on the wolf leaving Africa or no longer residing here.
That's a great question. Okay, so my new album is called The Wolf. I believe that this is my masterpiece. And if you don't mind, I'll say some technical things first, then we'll tell the story.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, The Wolf is a story first. And the story is the story of why the wolf left Africa. And not just that, the wolf is the bad guy in every story you read about the wolf. Once you see a wolf in a story, it's the bad guy. Even sometimes when the story doesn't really make sense why he should be the bad guy. Let me use an example, like the boy who cried wolf. Here's a boy who came out and accused the wolf falsely day after day after day. But even in that story, if you go and read the story, the wolf is still the bad guy. I think the story ends with the villagers chasing the wolf out of town or something like that. And when I started recording this album, I feel I was going through a journey in my life where I had been formerly Chocolate City CEO, but that journey had ended as CEO of the company. And I had seen myself over the next 10 years as being the person to lead the Chocolate City story going forward. It's my identity. Now, the CEO now, Abuchi, I feel is the best CEO we've ever had. He's a great, great, great leader. And we're all grateful to the fact that he stepped into that role. But if you had asked me 2018, You know, who's going to run? I'll say, I'm still the guy. 2025, 20, you know. So leaving that and coming to a new journey took me almost back to being a young artist again. And a lot of those emotions and stories, I was like, oh, I didn't have, like, Talk About It was a good project, but I didn't have a real way to capture the metaphor. So the wolf story first is that metaphor. And it starts with, at the Garden of Eden, the wolf gave Adam advice that please don't eat this fruit. When Adam ate the fruit now, there's chaos. So there's an election. And the animals in Africa have decided that, okay, they're going to pick a leader. In fact, that election tribunal was the three pigs, three pig brothers that were known. And they decided they're going to set up an election. And the human side, there was also an election. Two brothers, Cain and Abel, we decided that we're going to pick one person to rule over humanity. So there's elections coming up right next. You know, in Nigeria, election happens, state government happens, next week, this one happens. Same thing. And the wolf is the favored candidate. Why? Because if you ever read about wolves, they're hardworking, they're very loyal to their partner, they protect the pack, they're pack animals, very community animals. And they also are not just, like, packs live in community with other packs. Not lions. Lions, everything is for them. You know, lions live in largesse. They live, you know, one lion has 8 wives. All the kids are there. His kids are all looking at him, waiting to see who they're going to take over from him. When they get to a certain age, they might challenge. You know, if they win, they'll kill the lead lion and they kill all his sons and they take over. You know, very brutal, very kingly, everything for me type of approach. So the election on the animal side is between the wolf and the lion. Basically, they're the two top candidates. And the rest of the story of the album, you know, so the album is the scenes from the different parts of the story. And the song I've put out, Mr. Fantastic, is the beginning of the album, because the night after the man ate the fruits, the angel of death actually came to slay all living things, you know, but the wolf fought him off. So the wolf now, at the end of the battle, the angel of death told him 2 things. He said, number 1, every full moon, you are going to be invincible, because it was a full moon the day they fought. So now we have stories about werewolves, because once it's a full moon, you don't want to see a wolf, you know? But the second thing he said, you can never tell anyone about what happened between us. And that is the core of why the wolf story has been so changed over time, because there's a part of this story that nobody knew, which is that the wolf was responsible for fighting off the angel of death that time, you know. And of course, this is a fable. I borrow a little bit from, you know, this scriptural story of Adam and Eve that we have, and the Genesis narrative, and a little bit from African fables and European folklore. And I've made a satire. It's not, the story is not true. I don't claim it to be true. I'm just trying to express what it must be like in life. I feel being a man, again, speaking from my perspective as a man, there's a little bit of a wolf nature you must take at times. So picking a partner, picking a pack, finding other communities you work with, being loyal, being hardworking. The alpha in the wolf stays behind, and they put the young bulls in front. A lot of times it means putting yourself last for your community. It also means walking alone sometimes, you know, like I'll give you an example. You just, one thing you said earlier, I said, when my friends join politics, I'm like, you know, and that's an integrity thing. It's like, look, I have chosen a path for myself where there's some values that are important to me. And if people deviate, I stay on my course.
The lone wolf.
The lone wolf, you know? So the wolf is the story and the album that supports the story. And it's an acronym for to humans everywhere, that's the THE, whatever occurs, look forward. To humans everywhere, whatever occurs, look forward. So this is the story. It's a fable about what happened to the wolf to remind us as humans that you're going to go through the bad, you're going to go through the good. But your own journey is to keep looking forward, to stay optimistic, stay hopeful, and keep moving.
It's very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's to humans everywhere, but it seems to focus also on Africa. So is there a message you are passing to Africa and to the diaspora?
That's a good question. Because I feel like, for instance, wolves, let's go deeper. Wolves today live in America and they've been endangered many times. So is there something about the Black experience there? Maybe a little bit, in that endangered, they cannot be completely extinct, because if you make wolves extinct, then what happens is that the wildlife in the forest goes completely out of sync. The balance of nature is thrown off. Is there something about how we are viewed in the world like that? Like, when I was young, they used to talk about Africa like the dark continent, the Black continent. But without us, life no dey sweet. You know what I mean?
True.
We are like the cultural spring for humanity. We are such an important part, and wherever we are, we flourish. Our brothers and sisters that have been in the Americas for 400 years plus, they're flourishing there through everything. You make them the bad guy, you change, but still they flourish in the Caribbeans, in Brazil, in wherever we are, we flourish. Or even us as Nigerians, we see that. We go to China, we go to Russia, all of a sudden we start flourishing. The narrative about us, for instance, also, the narrative about wolves, even there is very negative. Most places you go, you ask a narrative about Black people. Like Nigeria, I think we're fighting to overcome it. But I remember in my lifetime where you show yourself a green passport, it's a negative thing. It's a bad thing.
True.
So you're right in saying that maybe there are some layers to it that are unique to us. But I think a good satire, a good story, you go read Things Fall Apart, you go read, it's an African story, but I think every human being can see themselves in it. And I think that's part of the story of the wolf.
We just have got to go now. But for just the next few seconds, I'm just going to ask you this question. You lived in the US. You made a conscious effort to return home and, build a musical career and all the other things you've built here. You could have stayed back, but you came. And you've built, what a career for yourself.
Thank you, sir.
What would you say to the young person who looks up to you? And what would you say for the young Nigerian who may not be in music or in the entrepreneurial field and who is so disillusioned and who just thinks the secret to every problem now is to get out of this country as fast as possible?
Yeah.
And from being a diasporan yourself, the mindset of Nigerians there, what is your message? What is the reality on ground that can be beneficial both to the guy who wants to run off there and to the guy who's been there but is dealing with all these and wondering, should I go back home?
This question is a heavy question.
I know.
It's older than me. I've been saying that the question is older than me.
I wanted to finish you with it. So
yeah. In my own small way, I would say, I'm grateful because honestly, truly, if it had been left up to me 100%, I may not have come back. But I'm grateful I came back because what I realize now as a 43-year-old man is that, let me go back to the scriptures and tell a small story. There's a story of Esau and Jacob, twins, but Esau came out first.
Yeah.
And the story says that they were eating a meal together. Esau was hungry. And Jacob
was cooking. Lovely stew.
So Esau sold his birthright to eat that stew. Okay. Now, I'm just going to stop there and use just this part for the context of what I want to say. It seems to me like sometimes in the journey of getting a better life, which is very important, you start out here and you're trying to get a better life. You may find that the best life is where you started. And to me, that's been my own experience. I've been to America and it's an amazing country. Powerful systems, amazing people, sports, entertainment, music, culture, power, military, police. You feel the power, wealth. And I've been to my village, nature, home, Africa, food, land, water, laughter, music. And I think the way I look at it now is that the world is our home. But maybe the best thing we can do is, in wherever we go, to do so in the service of continuing to build up our home, you know. And it's complex because even in our relationship with our other siblings from other parts of the world, there's been a lot that's happened. We have been divided up. Our mineral resources have been taken. We've been oppressed. Slavery has happened. We've lost so many people. We've had challenges with leadership. We've had systems put on us that we're still trying to understand. We've lost a lot of our culture. We've lost a lot of our history. But here we are, two men talking. We've met many. We played football with the greats, and we're still sitting down here contributing to our motherland, to our fatherland, you know. And I feel wherever you are, there's also, wherever the road you know, remember the road that will lead you home. It was just playing in my head.
Yeah, certainly.
You know? To me, may all roads, wherever we go, may they all lead us back to a destination where our ancestors, let me say that they are more, that their glory is more amplified. You know, that we are not part of the shame of Africa, but we are part of the glory of Africa. Whatever role that is, whether we're Africa, whether I'm LeBron James, who is in America now as the top of football world, and he wears as an American passport.
Basketball.
But when you look at him, the basketball world, but when you look at him, you see an African king, King James. Or maybe that is Femi, seasoned vet in the art of speaking and using media, you know, building ecosystems where young people can learn and train, you know, fierce integrity, you know, has lots of friends, lots of community, but keeps working on that craft, Who knows what we're going to see from you 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. May God give you long, long life to continue to contribute.
Amen to that.
And that both journeys can be for the glory of our ancestors, for this land that has given us these people that have been through ups and downs, but continue to do great things on earth. So to me, that's, if you ask for a message, you know, I'm a little, the poet in me, I said, let me wrap it that way. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Don't lose your roots.
Yeah.
What do you have if you don't have your roots anymore?
Yeah.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
To music, to life, to joy. Your work rate has been fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
One only needs to listen to your lyrics to know this is a mind that reads, that studies, and I can't wait for the Wolf to be out. All the best, Baba.
Thank you so
in
much,
life,
brother.
marriage,
My brother. Same to you too, man.
Yes, certainly, man.
See, when he saw me, the hug, the hug felt so warm, and I really appreciate you. God bless you too. And same thing. Like, I have the utmost respect for you. Everyone here that's part of the crew. You know, we work for the creative industry, so everyone here, sound. I was just sitting here earlier looking at me like, this is the power of the creative industry. It creates jobs, opportunities for us. May we all do great things, you know, and continue to be part of the glory of Africa.
A hearty amen to that, my brother.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Yeah.
All right.